Who is the greatest cyclist in Tour de France history to have worn the yellow jersey? Every cycling age has its legends and incredible endurance exploits, and the Tour de France is always able to give the heroes. We have compiled a list of all-time Tour de France champion cyclists, and it's up to you to decide who is the best. Number 10. Fausto Coppi, Italian winner of the Tour de France 2 times 1949 and 1952, a dominant international rider in the years following World War II. Fausto Coppi was an Italian cyclist who lived from the 15th of September 1919 until the 2nd of January 1960. Il Campionissimo was his moniker thanks to his accomplishments. He was an all-around racing cyclist who was excellent at sprinting, time trials, and climbs. He won the Tour de France twice, the Giro d'Italia 5 times, and the World Championship in 1953. Additional noteworthy accomplishments include 5 victories in the Giro di Lombardia, 3 in the Milan-San Remo, victories at Paris-Roubaix and La Flèche-Wallonne, and setting the hour record in 1942. Number 9.
Philippe Thys,
Belgium winner of the Tour de France 3 times 1913, 1914 and 1920, Belgian cyclist and 3-time Tour de France champion.
Philippe Thys,
Born in Brussels,
Thys,
won Belgium's inaugural national cyclocross competition in 1910. He won stage races from Paris to Toulouse and Paris to Turin the next year after taking first place in the Circuit Francaise Peugeot. To ride in the Tour de France, he later went pro, despite breaking his fork and having to find a cycling shop to fix it.
Philippe
Thys
Thys,
won the Tour in 1913. Despite the 10-minute penalty for the repair, he prevailed with a lead of just under 9 minutes. Eugene Christophe broke his fork on the route to Luchon, giving
Philippe
the
Thys,
stage win and the race's lead. The next day, Marcel Bice passed him in the results.
Philippe Thys,
Once more took the lead after a second broken fork on the road to Nice, but the drama continued when he tumbled on the last stage from Longwy to Dunkirk. He finished first, 8 minutes and 37 seconds ahead of Gustave Garrigou, while third place went to Bice, despite being disqualified and fined for receiving assistance from teammates to fix his bike. Number 8. Greg LeMond, USA winner of the Tour de France 3 times 1986, 1989 and 1990. Gregory James LeMond, an American former professional road racer, entrepreneur, and anti-doping spokesman, was born on June 26, 1961. LeMond, who won the Tour de France 3 times, as well as the Road Race World Championship twice, is widely regarded as the greatest American cyclist of all time. He is also regarded as one of the greatest all-around cyclists of the modern era and as an emblem of the globalization of the sport. 1981 marked the start of LeMond's professional cycling career. He was the first American man to win the Road World Championship in 1983. LeMond, the first professional cyclist from a continent other than Europe to win the Tour de France, did it in 1986. While out hunting in 1987, he was unintentionally shot with pellets and suffered serious injuries. He endured 2 surgeries after the incident and missed the following 2 tours. He pulled off an incredible comeback to win the 1989 Tour de France in a thrilling finish. The next year, he successfully defended his Tour victory and joined a select group of only 8 riders who have won 3 or more tours. LeMond stopped competing in December 1994, and in 1996, he was inducted into the American Cycling Hall of Fame. In addition to being the first cyclist to be featured on the Sports Illustrated cover, he was the first professional cyclist to secure a $1 million contract. LeMond promoted various technological developments in professional cycling throughout his career, such as the adoption of aerodynamic triathlon handlebars and carbon fiber bicycle frames, which he later sold through his business LeMond Bicycles. Restaurants, real estate, and consumer fitness equipment have all been among his previous business ventures. LeMond has been outspoken in his opposition to the use of performance-enhancing drugs in cycling and is a founding member of 1in6.org, a non-profit organization that supports men who have experienced child sex abuse. Number 7. Alberto Contador, Spain winner of the Tour de France 3 times 2007, 2009 and 2010. A former competitive cyclist from Spain, Alberto Contador Velasco was born on December 6, 1982. He is one of the most successful cyclists of his time, having won the Vuelta a Spa 3 times, the Giro d'Italia twice, and the Tour de France twice. He is one of just 7 cyclists to have triumphed in each of the 3 Grand Tours, and one of just 2 to have done it more than once. In addition, he has won the Velo d'Or a record 4 times. He was seen as Lance Armstrong's natural successor, and he and the Discovery Channel team won the 2007 Tour de France. He won the 2008 Giro d'Italia, the 2008 Vuelta a Spa, and the 2009 Tour de France while riding for the Astana team. He won 6 straight Grand Tours that he competed in between 2007 and 2011. This included helping Astana win the 2010 Tour de France, despite the fact that he later tested positive for clenbuterol throughout the race. The Court of Arbitration for Sport suspended him and robbed him of his victories in the 2010 Tour and 2011 Giro after a protracted legal struggle. Number 6. Miguel Indurain, born on July 16, 1964, is a former Spanish road racer. From 1991 to 1995, Indurain won the Tour de France 5 times, making him the final and 4th person to do so. He was also the only person to win the race 5 times in a row. He was one of 7 cyclists to win both the Giro d'Italia and the Tour de France in the same season. He spent 60 days in the Tour de France donning the yellow race leader's jersey. Since Lance Armstrong's 7 Tour de France victories were revoked, he has set a record for the most consecutive victories and shares the record for most victories with Jack Anquetil, Bernard Hinault, and Eddy Merckx. He is one of the very few cyclists to have come close to winning cycling's Triple Crown, finishing just 0:19 behind the winner of the World Championship in 1993 after having already won the Giro and the Tour. His enormous stature of 1.86 meters and 76 kilos gave him the moniker Miguelin, or Big Mig, due to his skill and size. At the age of 18, he became the youngest rider to ever win the Amateur National Road Championship in Spain. At the age of 20, he became the youngest rider to ever lead the Vuelta a Spa. At the age of 20, he also won a stage of the Tour de l'Avenir. Number 5. Jack Anquetil, the first rider to win the Tour de France 5 times, in 1957 and from 1961 through 1964, was French road racing cyclist Jack Anquetil. With 2 previous champions in the field, he declared before the 1961 Tour that he would win the yellow jersey on the first day and wear it the entire time. He succeeded in doing so. He earned the nickname Monsieur Chrono for his outstanding skill in riding alone against the clock in individual time trial stages, which helped him win stage events like the Tour. Only Eddy Merckx and Bernard Hinault have since broken his record of 8 Grand Tour victories, which stood when he retired. Number 4. Chris Froome. Christopher Clive Froome, a British road racer who competes on UCI World Team Israel Premier Tech, was born on May 20, 1985. 7 Grand Tours have been won by him, 2 Vueltas a Spas, 1 Giro d'Italia, and 4 Tour de France's. Along with the Velo d'Or, he has also triumphed in a number of other stage competitions. In addition, Froome captured the bronze medal at the 2017 World Championships and won the road time trial bronze medal in the 2012 and 2016 Olympics. Froome was raised in South Africa as well as Kenya, where he was born to British parents. He has been a Monaco resident since 2011. Froome began his professional career with Team Konica Minolta at the age of 22. He joined the Barlow World team in 2008. He moved to Italy that year and began riding using a British license. He joined Team Sky in 2010 and rapidly rose to become one of the team's most important cyclists. During the 2011 Vuelta a Spa, where he finished 2nd overall but was later moved to 1st, Froome made his debut as a Grand Tour contender and went on to become the first British rider to win a Grand Tour cycling event. Bradley Wiggins' Super Domestique, Chris Froome, won Stage 7 and placed 2nd overall in the 2012 Tour de France. He won the Tour of Oman in 2013, which was his first official victory in a multi-stage event. He then won the Criterium International, the Tour de Romandie, the Criterium du Dauphiné, and the Tour de France. He gave up the race in the 2014 Tour de France after several mishaps. He captured his 2nd Tour de France and 2nd Criterium du Dauphiné in 2015. He became the first person since Miguel Indurain in 1995 to successfully defend his championship by taking home a 3rd Tour de France victory in 2016. His first victories in both the 2017 Vuelta a Spa and the 2018 Giro d'Italia followed his 4th Tour de France victory in 2017. With these accomplishments, he became the first cyclist since Bernard Hinault in 1983 to carry all 3 Grand Tour winners' jerseys simultaneously. The first rider to win any Grand Tour double since the Vuelta was relocated to September and the first cyclist to win the Tour Vuelta double. Froome has dealt with several accusations that he violated cycling's anti-doping rules by using a performance-enhancing medication during his career. Froome's career was ended in 2019 by a major training accident that occurred before the Critérium du Dauphiné. He suffered multiple fractures, including those to his pelvis, femur, and foreribs. He was able to recuperate from surgery and rejoin the peloton in 2020, but it was difficult for him to restore his prior form. At the end of 2020, he left Ineos Grenadiers to join Israel Startup Nation, but his form issues persisted into the 2021 season, and Froome hasn't truly competed in stage events since his accident. Froome is still the most accomplished general classification rider who is still competing in the peloton as of 2021, despite these difficulties. Number 3. Bernard Hinault. French former professional road cyclist Bernard Hinault was born on November 14, 1954. He is frequently cited as one of the greatest cyclists of all time with 147 professional victories, 5 of which came in the Tour de France. Hinault competed in 13 Grand Tours in his career. He abandoned one of them, came in second on 2 occasions, and won the other 10, lagging Merckx by 1 in the overall standings. Since Hinault, no cyclist has surpassed 7. Hinault began riding in his native Brittany as an amateur. He signed with the Gitane Campagnolo team to become a professional in 1975 after enjoying a good amateur career. In 1977, he won his first major races, the Critérium du Dauphiné Libre and the Liège-Bastogne-Liège Classic. He won the Tour de France and Vuelta a España, his first 2 Grand Tours. In 1978, he went on to become the most prosperous professional cyclist in the years that followed, winning the 1980 Giro d'Italia as well as the 1979 Tour de France. He had to abandon the 1980 Tour de France when in the lead due to a knee injury, but he eventually finished the race and won the World Championship road race. Before achieving his first Giro Tour double in 1982, he earned a further Tour triumph in 1981. His knee issues returned after winning the 1983 Vuelta a España, preventing him from competing in that year's Tour de France, which was won by Laurent Fignon, a member of his squad. He left the Renault team and joined La Viclaire as a result of conflict inside the team. He competed in the 1984 Tour de France with his new squad, but finished behind Fignon by more than 10 minutes. The next year, he made a full recovery and, with the aid of colleague Greg LeMond, captured another Giro Tour double. He engaged in a team competition with LeMond in the 1986 Tour de France, which was the first of LeMond's 3 Tour victories. After the season, Hinault announced his retirement. He is the most recent French Tour de France champion as of 2022. After retiring from racing, Hinault started a farm and worked as an enforcer for the Tour de France's organizers until 2016. Hinault was referred to as Le Blaireau throughout his whole career. He identified with the animal because of its aggressive character, which he exhibited on the bike. Hinault adopted the position of patron inside the peloton, exercising control over the races he competed in. Number 2. Lance Armstrong. American former professional road racer Lance Edward Armstrong, born September 18, 1971, who was hailed as a sporting legend for winning the Tour de France 7 times in a row from 1999 to 2005, had his reputation damaged by a doping controversy that resulted in the removal of his Tour de France medals. Armstrong started competing in triathlons at the age of 16, and he won the National Sprint Course triathlon title in 1989 and 1990. He started his professional cycling career in 1992 with the Motorola team. Between 1993 and 1996, he was successful, winning the World Championship in 1993, the Classica de San Sebastian in 1995, the Tour du Pont in 1995, and a few European stage victories, including stages 8 and 18 of the Tour de France in 1993 and 1995, respectively. He received a 1996 diagnosis of metastatic testicular cancer, which might be fatal. In order to help other cancer survivors, he established the Lance Armstrong Foundation. Armstrong made a comeback to cycling in 1998, and from that year until 2005, he competed for the U.S. Postal Discovery Team, where he won 7 Tour de France championships. After the 2005 Tour de France, Armstrong announced his retirement from competitive cycling. However, he later made a comeback with the Astana team and placed 3rd in the 2009 Tour de France. He competed in races with Team Radio Shack between 2010 and 2011, when he announced his second retirement. After winning the 1999 Tour de France, Armstrong was accused of doping. He denied doping involvement for many years. Armstrong was identified as the mastermind of the most sophisticated, professionalized, and effective doping program that sport has ever seen, according to a United States anti-doping agency investigation that found he had used performance-enhancing chemicals throughout his career in 201. Armstrong, who insisted he was innocent, decided not to fight the accusations because of what it may do for his family. His career as a competitive cyclist came to an end when he was given a lifetime ban from all sports that adhere to the World Anti-Doping Code. His stripped victories would not be given to other cyclists, according to the International Cycling Union, which upheld USADA's decision. Armstrong formally acknowledged his doping involvement in January 2013 after whistleblower proceedings were started by Floyd Landis, a former team member. Armstrong settled a civil action with the U.S. Department of Justice in April 2018 and agreed to pay the U.S. government $5 million. Number 1. Eddy Merckx. A former professional road and track cyclist from Belgium, Edouard Louis Joseph Baron Merckx, better known by his stage name Eddy Merckx, is one of the most successful cyclists in the annals of cycling competition. He won an unprecedented 11 Grand Tours, all 5 monuments, the hour record, 3 World Championships, every significant one-day event aside from the Paris Tours, and numerous victories on the track. He was raised in Wallou-Saint-Pierre, Belgium, where his parents owned and operated a grocery business. He was born in Meenselkeezegem, Brabant. While he participated in many sports, riding ultimately became his main love. At the age of 3 or 4, Merckx received his first bicycle, and in 1961, he took part in his first race. In October 1961, at Petit-Enghien, he achieved his first victory. He became a professional racer on April 29, 1965, when he signed with Solo Superia after winning 80 races as an amateur racer. After switching to Peugeot BP Michelin the following year, he earned his first significant victory in the Milan-San Remo. After the 1967 campaign, Merckx joined FEMA and claimed his first Grand Tour victory, the Giro d'Italia. Between 1970 and 1974, Merckx finished a Grand Tour double 4 times. The men's road race victory at the UCI Road World Championship served as his last double, becoming the first rider to complete cycling's Triple Crown. In October 1972, Merckx smashed the hour record, increasing it by about 800 meters. A teammate's daughter offered the moniker the Cannibal after hearing from her father how Merckx would not allow anybody else to win. Over the course of his 18-year career, Merckx won 525 races. He is one of only 3 cyclists to have triumphed in each of the 5 monuments, which include the Giro di Lombardia, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Tour de France, Milan-San Remo, and Paris-Roubaix. He is also the only one to have achieved this feat twice or more. The other 2 are fellow citizens of Belgium, Rick van Looy and Roger de Vliemink. Merckx had success in one-day and stage events, as well as on the road and the track. He is regarded almost universally as the finest and most successful rider in cycling history. Merckx was discovered using performance-enhancing drugs 3 times over his career, though, since his retirement from competitive cycling on May 18, 1978, Merckx has continued to be involved in the industry. In 1980, he founded his own cycling company, Eddy Merckx Cycles, and in the 1980s, 1990s, and the early 2000s, several professional teams rode Eddy Merckx Cycles bicycles. After 11 years of leading the Belgian national cycling team, Merckx retired in 1996. From the event's inception in 2002 to its final edition in 2016, he participated in its founding and organization. Prior to leaving in 2017 due to a dispute with the organizers, he also helped oversee the Tour of Oman.